Good evening and welcome to my podcast. I'm Bob Pace and I'm here to help you all fight CPS and stop taking our children. That's the show tonight, so I really want to help you there. Um, you found the right place. This is 7 rooms are linked to this podcast. I'm transmitting on YouTube. I'm using the SteamYard application. You found me on Facebook, Fighting CPS. I'm glad you did. Again, a warm welcome. This is an interactive podcast, meaning that people can text and call in and talk about their cases and help others. They can talk about your cases and help others. Now, I'm not an attorney. I'm a family man who's been fighting CPS for 15 years. I've helped raise 6 children, and I have 41 years of marriage. And I have a lot of life skills that I've gone through and did. So I really like to see you all not have to go through what I went through. It was terrible for 3 years. My children were trafficked into foster care and abused. That's not right. That's not right. And I relive it every day on my show here. I have 14 shows a week, and it's 7 days a week. I've been doing this now for 16 months. Started in October of 2023, and I've talked to over 900 people. Not only from the United States, I've had representatives from all 50 states, and then also the District of Columbia. I've had 21 countries call in or text in, and they're from Indonesia to Bangladesh to India to Saudi Arabia to Libya, then over to the continent of Africa, and we have Liberia, and we have Sudan, and then Rwanda, Mozambique, and then 4 provinces in South Africa. Then up to Europe, we've had England, Scotland, and Wales, and then we've had Denmark and Sweden. Across the pond to North America, we've had Canada with their 4 provinces. Representatives from all 50 states have texted or called in. On top of that, we've also had the District of Columbia. South the border, we have Mexico. In South America, we got Grenada. Then across Pacific, we got New Zealand, and then the land down under, Australia. And I've had 2 states in Australia. That's quite a cross representation. But the one thing all those 21 countries have, and all your 50 states have, is that there are some rogue CPS systems out there. I call the child protection systems. That's what the definition of CPS is. There's so many different names, and it takes too long to address them all. So I say CPS. That means any government entity that's in any county, in every state, including in every country, they are mandated by Congress here in the United States to protect our children from neglect or abuse. Further, it's a part of social services. They're supposed to help parents in need of food, shelter, clothing, transportation, educational, and medical, and also help find a job. All that's supposed to be done there. Parents do go through rough times, and parents do struggle. A lot of things come up in their life, a lot of things. There are a lot of bad habits that parents have, a lot of wrongful things that parents do, but they all can be corrected, and that's what CPS should be doing. They should be doing family reunification if they need to pull your family apart. Lately, it seems like in the 900 cases or more, they want to take the child immediately, even though they're not in danger. My children weren't in danger. They were in school at the time when they were taken. 2 of them were picked up at school, and one was with me when they said they had to search my home. So I'm here to help you all, and I care about every one of you. I have my room regulars. Tonight I see Margaret King from Missouri, and good evening, Margaret. And she has got Mr. Davis, her attorney, fighting for her. We have Betty, and she's from Montana. And hello, Betty, and welcome. Okay. I'll do that, Betty, when I get them. All right. They're not right with me at the time, but I should be okay. I should be okay. Thank you, Betty. Um, Betty is a foster care mom, a social worker, and she just successfully adopted her brother's daughter, her niece. And now she has full guardianship of that child. And the child is so happy to be home. It's been home for a couple days. She had to go down to Nebraska to get the child and drive up to Montana with the child. She also had been taking care of a little 4-year-old who lost his parents several weeks ago on a Friday night car accident. He's being adopted by a family friend, but he still calls and talks to her. That's how much an impression that Betty made on that child. So I'm here to talk about what you guys like to talk about. It's an interactive podcast. And besides being in this room taking notes and send me emojis like smiley faces, thumbs up, or hearts, you'd also send stars. And then if you'd like to follow me, I hope you do. Please check the follow button. And if you want to be notified when I'm on, check the notification button. Now, you can also text a message in here. It can be either a comment or a question, and it should be about CPS. All I ask you is to show your first name, the city or the county your case was in, and the state. And if you're from one of those countries, please put in your country name along with the other things there. All of you should be complete with your CPS case. So you should be able to tell it the first time around so I can understand you and help you. Now, third way is to be a guest on my podcast. I've had a lot of guests lately, and it's nice to see them. I can take up to 9 guests here on the show. All you have to do is pick one of my 14 shows and write an email to my show producer. Her name is Grace, and her email is grace@vincentwdavis.com. Grace@vincentwdavis.com. And she will help you get on the show. She'll give you a link to go to StreamYard and you get on. And she'll explain to you what you can do and not do and so forth. So that's the third way you can interact with the podcast. A fourth way is you can call in. And there's my number, 626-698-0990. That is that's my work number, and you can call me freely on the phone. I will answer it. What I suggest you do is write down, and anybody can call or talk. That's great because I love to hear what you have to say. Athena Christensen, welcome back. So far, I have my family with 4 of you in here. I have about 25 to 50 of you that are regulars, and I'm so thrilled when you come here because you help one another. Now, Athena, I do apologize. I forgot what your state is. I know Betty's from Montana and Margaret's from Missouri. Oh, you're from Alaska. That's right. Yeah, she's north of Anchorage, Alaska, and she has a very difficult case up there. And I'm listening to you as I drive. Okay, well, concentrate on the road. I don't know if you have a lot of snow or anything like that, but make sure your eyes are on the road. I don't want anybody getting an accident because of listening to me. But I'm so glad that you are. Athena has a horrible case that she's trying to get her kids recovering, and she's way up north in Alaska. So it seems like no matter where the people that come in the room are, there are trouble with those CPS entities. I call them rogue entities. And I hate to say it, every state has some bad CPS rogue entities. Not every county is good. And the sad part about it is they want to take your children. They had a law passed, a incentive law, that Bill Clinton signed a law that says that they will get rewarded by the federal government if they complete the foster care soon. They don't like the family reunification because it takes too long. So what they're doing is they're trying to concentrate on foster care. Problem is, once they're adopted into foster care, it stays till they're out of the system at 18. So it's a lot of money if you're a small child. And I'm talking about big, big money. The rogue CPS entities are making about $1 trillion a year. $1 trillion a year. That is a lot of money. Now, I paused for a moment only because I want to give you guys the opportunity to call in or to text me a question or a comment. It could be a question or a comment. Margaret and Betty and Athena, do you have a comment? We have Missouri, Montana, and Alaska in here. Plus, there's other people in the background that may not be texting that are here. I think I see about a total of 10 people in here so far. Now, I know you guys go through an up and down with your children. And I know how hard it hurts not having your child. But I've produced 4 rules that you need to follow that will help you not succumb to CPS. I wish I used my rules myself. I actually have 5 rules. Rule number 1 is a hard one because you need to have a professional attorney. Fighting CPS is like open heart surgery. It is very difficult to fight it on your own, pro se. It's very difficult to have a non-attorney fight it. And what I mean by that, there are a lot of attorneys only trained in criminal law. It's so important you've located an attorney that has dependency law, family law, and juvenile law. Those 3 areas are so important because that's what CPS works in. Their courtrooms are a judge and the attorneys and the social workers. There's no trial by jury. It should be, but there's no trial by jury. It's all dependent on the recommendations by the social worker to the judge. And believe me, the judge is not going to be fair. At least in my case in Orange County, I had a terrible judge. His only knowledge was car repairs and car claims and car damages. He knew nothing about family reunification or about parents or kids. Our social worker didn't know anything about parents or kids or anything. She was young, in her early 20s. She had no college degree. She had no high school diploma. Furthermore, she had very little training, and they trusted her to set out with very little knowledge to try to purposely take families' children apart because she knows she gets an incentive. And her incentive was bonuses. And she would brag about her Gucci purse she got every week, or about her eyelashes or makeup or jewelry. You know, she always would show us things, talk about her BMW car. All I know is that she was making a lot of money off my 3 kids. That was $60,000 a month for those 3 kids. Margaret has a comment here. It's a long holiday weekend. I just been watching most of Mr. Vincent's videos all day long. That's good. Now, did any of you see his video today? It was live. It was called Questions and Answers at 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Did you all see that? I was wondering. Okay. Oh, you missed me this morning? Well, that's terrible. I was on at 8 o'clock, though. Sometimes people confused on the weekend. Remember, I come on at 8 o'clock Saturday and Sunday, but I was on. I was on at 8 o'clock, so maybe you came on a little bit later. Now, Betty, hi, Bob. This isn't about your case. It's about everybody else's case. We're here to help them. Yes, I know that. I know that. The reason why I mentioned my case is I have shared it for the last 16 months of what I did wrong and what may have helped you. I realize it's not my case. So I'm just waiting for one of you to ask me a question or to help you all. I'm here to help you. Yes, so stay with us for the rest of our lives. I realize that. I realize the traumatic experience that you had to get your niece back. I know that. I know that. No, I don't want to leave the studio. I don't know why it was asking me that. But anyway, um, I'm here to help you if any of your questions have. Betty or Margaret, or we have a person from Alaska. We have Athena from Alaska. She's driving and listening. And so it'd be hard for her to text. I don't expect her to write me anything because she is driving. Now, Margaret, do you have more updates to me about your case and how Mr. Davis is helping you? I'd like you to share it with the room because maybe it can help them out there. So maybe it can help them out there. And thank you, Margaret. Thank you very, very much. I will talk about 5 rules that I've developed by talking to you all. After talking to over 900 people, you all have something in common. And that is you don't have funds to get an attorney. And rule number 1 is you should have an attorney because without an attorney, you're going to have a hard time dealing with your case. You're going to have a hard time dealing with your case. So it's like open heart surgery, I say. If you know that you need a specialized doctor to perform open heart surgery, as a layperson, you're not going to cut open your chest cavity, take your heart out and work on it. You're going to have a professional that's gone to school and has studied and has done residency and internship and so forth, and did mentor another doctor before he starts to work on your heart. Same thing goes for fighting CPS. You need somebody like Mr. Davis. Mr. Davis has been practicing law for 39 years. He's been fighting CPS successfully, got the children back. He is well schooled in juvenile law, family law, and dependency law. He's a fighter. He's also a trial attorney. and he has done civil lawsuits when the case is over to sue CPS and won millions of dollars back either in state court or federal court. So he's a good candidate. And I have several ways. Well, I don't know what happened to my phone number. I had it up there, but I'll put it back up there. That's my phone number. That if you want to call in, it's 626-698-0990. The other number, 888-888-6582, is the law office of Vincent Davis. There you can request guides and books for nominal fees from the reception there. Also, if you want to talk to Mr. Davis and hire him, right there you can set up your appointment, and he'll go over his retainer fee with you and so forth. But if you call in or a guest, you get a free 15-minute talk with Mr. Davis. That's 15 minutes you can talk to Mr. Davis on a private Zoom call. Also, if you want to talk longer, all you need to do is go to this website that's at the bottom of my page, and you can talk to him for 30 minutes for $60. That's 30 minutes for $60. You go to that webpage, and you follow the prompts. Use your credit card, pay, and reserve your 30 minutes with them. But that's a little bit more expensive. The free one is all you have to do is talk on the show or be on the podcast. Talk on my phone or be a guest on the show, and you get a free 15-minute with Mr. Davis, and he will go over your case with you and so forth, and also help you discuss and navigate through CPS. It's pretty hard and difficult. CPS is there. Margaret right now is waiting for a trial date for the appeal. Margaret, since your niece has been home, how's she doing? Is she bonded well with you? Because that was some of the concerns that the attorney for the child was expressing, that to be a traumatic experience. Now, I'm on twice a day at 10 o'clock, usually in the morning, Pacific Standard Time, and 7 o'clock at night, Pacific Standard Time. I do, on the weekends, come on at 8 o'clock, Pacific Standard Time. But it's just the weekends. Sometimes for the week, I may have other events that come up that I'll have to adjust my time. But that's 14 shows a week, and I'd love for you to send an email to Grace asking to be on one of my 14 podcasts. It makes it go a lot easier, and it helps answer a lot of the questions and concerns. Yeah, I know your daughter's not home, and that is very unfortunate, Margaret. I feel for you out there. So, Betty, I bet you're still smiling ear to ear with your niece home. I'm so happy for you, and you're so blessed by getting your niece home. That was really great. I'd heard from a lady here on my show, I think it was either this morning or last night, that hasn't talked to me since March of 2024, and she wanted to tell me that she got her child back. She did pretty much what I said, and she wanted to thank me personally that I did help her with some advice. And I'm so glad to hear that. I was so glad to hear that what I'm saying does help. I know that. Well, my case, and I don't want to dwell on my case because Betty likes to hear about other people. But my case was very difficult, only because I encountered the lay people who are my in-laws constantly calling in and saying that we're doing things wrong to our children. They were trying to alienate us and take away our children. And of course, CPS believes every story they hear. And so, as far as support group, well, my older children didn't really support us. In fact, they've been distant from us. People have a stigma about CPS. They think CPS is awful. I mean, people in CPS are awful. They have a stigma about parents that you should not have trouble with CPS. But there are rogue CPS out there that do pursue parents that have lost a job or have gone through some hard times because they know that you're very weak and they can take advantage of that situation. I'm talking about the bad CPS workers. Not every CPS worker is bad, but there's really enough there. So it is hard. Now, what helps me is hearing you guys say, Bob, what you told us, it worked. We got our child back. That makes me feel better. That makes me feel like I'm helping out. Yeah, I agree, Margaret. A strong support system. All of you need to have a strong support system. It's hard. It's hard. It's really, really hard without a strong support system. It really is. Now, get my numbers up. That means you can call me between my hours. I can't talk before my hours on my podcast or after my hours. You can only talk to me during my podcast time. I think it's really important that all of you think about a strong support group. You know, they're supposed to provide you with support groups, but all they seem to just tell CPS. I'm talking about the CASA, I'm talking about the guardian of litem, and I'm talking about the ombudsperson. Those three individuals are supposed to help out adults and children, but they don't. They're ears for CPS. They're ears. So you can't trust them. You can't trust them. Thank you, Margaret. Thank you so much. I'm glad I'm able to. One of the things the lady had told me, I think her name was Alicia, said that she liked the support I gave everybody in here, that I care about people. I really do care about people. I care about what happens to them and what not happens to them. Now, I said that rule number one is to get an attorney, and that is a so important thing because you'll need that tool to fight. Rule number two is you have to organize your documents. It's very important that you take good documents and you organize them with subject tabs. You put 3 holes in them, you get a huge notebook, like a 3-inch thick notebook. Stuff it full of notebook paper because you need to create a very important document called a time log incident. Time log incidents. What that is you write down every incident you're involved in, whether it's with the social worker or the police or the school, whoever it may be. You write that incident down because you won't remember it. And you get a lot of incidents. You may be fighting them for 2 years. A lot of the programs take a year to complete, and parenting classes are from 3 to 6 months. And so your first year, you're going to definitely hang on to your child there. So you got to be calm about it. And I know it's hard. I know it's so hard. I think also your faith in God. It's so important that we believe in God because God will help. When you talk to him, he will listen. He will help you. So I'm telling you, you need to talk to God and pray as much as you can. There's no question about that. Now, my rule number 3 is always make sure you don't answer the door. Don't answer the door. And the reason being is a lot of people have been killed answering the door. You don't know who's on the other side of that door. It's danger. When it's dark outside or nighttime, you don't know that. You also don't know if someone's casing the joint. They may come to your door and say, "Hi, I'm looking for a job." And they're looking around your room and everything, seeing they can come back later and get you. So it's so important you don't open your door. You don't want to expose your home to anybody else. Now, you can have family members do special knocks or rings to let them in, but you should never open the door. And all I think about is back in May, there was an Air Force airman, black Air Force airman, just started out in life, 23 years old, on the phone with his fiance, and he was shot when he's talking to her on FaceTime. He died on the phone with her. So that was because he opened the door. Yes, the Gainesville Police Department, the sheriff is fired. Yes, they're suing him. But is that going to bring back the dead airmen or the fiance's loss of her fiance? I mean, it's hard. Tragedy strike is everywhere. I mean, you never know. Like right now, we have many homes that are, what's left of them are being washed down the streets because we had horrible fires in LA, very horrible fires. And now with the heavy rains, there's nothing holding back the dirt and it goes through and it really hurts them even further. We even have heavy surf right now. So that could be a problem too, because a lot of the people live close to the beach or on the beach. Yes, Margaret, you are part of my support system, Bob. Thank you very much. Margaret also says, "Amen, God, first above everything." You're right. Having a faith in the Creator is something that will pull you through. This is not a comfortable feeling to have your kids manipulated and you have no control over them. So don't open the door and do not speak to social workers. If you're outside and you see one approaching, if someone comes to approach you, just say, be nice to them, but say, "I'm sorry. I need my attorney present because this is a legal matter." Your constitutional right is for all legal matters that you have legal representation. So there's a good point that you can pause meeting with them. Tell them that you get back to them with your attorney. Now, if they hear you got an attorney, they may be, more standish too. You got to be careful. I know attorneys are expensive. I had to sell my home to hire Mr. Davis. Okay, I'm seen to be talking a lot. I'd like to have you all talking about your case or asking a question. Um, like what is ICWA, the Indian Child Welfare Act? What is a 388 motion? There's lots of things I can help you with. All you have to do is ask me, and you got this whole hour to do so. The whole hour to do so. Another part of my rule number 3 is called medical trafficking. It's where you bring your child in an urgent care or the emergency room, and there's a social worker working there, and they try to take your child. They may have overheard something, interpreted it differently. This one lady in Alaska who's in my room right now, the child has 11 broken bones, and she says it wasn't her. And they got X-rays and so forth, but this child is severely hurt, and that's wrong. That's wrong. Another form of medical trafficking is when you have a newborn child and they want to take your child away because you may have tested positive for drugs. Drugs and alcohol should not be a part of pregnancy. It should not be a part of growing up with your children. It's a hard thing for children to understand. Same thing goes for smoking and doing drugs. Now, I know some states have declassified marijuana, so it varies from state to state. But you got to be careful there. That's a good point, Margaret. She says if I could turn back the clock back to that day, I wouldn't have called for the police or her trying to be kidnapped. Yeah, there's a lot of things. I should never have ever let them into my home. I should never let them take my child. They took all three of them. Two are in school and one I had picked up from school, the little one. Now we have about 20 minutes left of my podcast. I do have to end the podcast at 8:00. So if you want to talk about something, please do. Either text me a question or comment or call me at my number 626-698-0990. Make sure you dial 1 in front of the number. But I verified that number. That is a working number. Now, Margaret says, I invited a few parents in the same situation to this podcast. Thank you, Margaret. I'm glad you did. I don't see them in here yet. It's hard. It's hard for people to be in here. It's hard for people to talk. Being involved in CPS has a stigma that you're a bad parent. So I can know how hard it is, with parents going through it. It's very intimidating, and it's very heavy. It's something that you never want to experience or go through. But now I've gone through it, it'll never happen to me again. I've gained the knowledge so much. Now, we have rule number 4. Rule number 4 is the good usage of the internet. You need a powerful browser, and Google's a good browser. But it's very important that you word your phrases correctly. You should always start off with a city. Now, if your city is small, you may want to have a secondary city like Atlanta, Georgia. So Athens is a small city. You do Athens, Atlanta. Then you put Georgia. Then what you do is that you take these 3 letters, the child protection system. Now, the child protection system, that will pull up a lot of information, but you can refine it more. You can refine it and do it more. Now, hi, Akima. Yes, Betty's here. Betty's here tonight. She was on early this morning. Welcome. KK is from Brooklyn, New York. She has her own podcast on Wednesdays. I think next Wednesday. Wait, she's moved it to Mondays now. Her podcast is Monday. I'm sorry, KK. She has a podcast to help out people with CPS too. And she is, as I say, in Brooklyn, New York. And she has a terrible case with her daughter. But she comes in here all the time. So say hello to Betty. She's somewhere in the room there. She's one of the 15 people I have in the room here. KK says, Akima says, Margaret, it's all about the dollar. Yes, it's all about money. I'm afraid to say that a lot of the CPS is bad because of money. They get so many bonuses and incentives. It's ridiculous the kind of money that they get. They're supposed to take care of our children, and they don't. They get abused. Now, Margaret says, all the knowledge we are gaining, we're going to make them more aware. Right. Understand, the more knowledge you have, the better off you have fighting your case. It's important. So you want to spend at least 60, 80 hours researching your case on the internet. You can look up attorneys, you can look up judges, you can look up social workers, you can look up topics, you can talk about the 388 motion, the Indian Child Welfare Act of 1978. Anything you want to talk about, you can do so. You can do so. On Monday, KK, that's right, Monday. And it's going to be at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8:15 her time on the East Coast. On the East Coast. So KK will have a show with her style from Brooklyn, New York. From Brooklyn, New York. Now, KK says, make sure everyone in the room and everyone parent out there comes to see me on Mondays on Mr. Davis's podcast, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Well, I'll be doing my podcast from 7 to 8, so I'll miss that. But good luck with your podcast. Good luck with your podcast. Now, Akima further says, hello, Betty. My sister is from another mother. My sister is from another mother. Well, that's nice. You have a sister there. Okay, Akima. Make sure everyone in the room and everyone parent out there comes to see me on Mondays on Mr. Davis's platform, 5 p.m. Pacific Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Yes, I do remind people about your podcast on Monday, KK. Yes, I do. We cannot forget Mr. Davis's questions and answers on Saturday at 10. Also, he has a podcast during the week called Office Hours. And so there's a lot of podcasts that are going on right now. Now, Akima says, my podcast is Maniac Mondays with Mrs. K. I thought it was Mrs. G. I'm really confused now. It's K? Well, maybe it's because you're K. Your name is KK. Your name is K. So maybe you meant yourself. Mrs. G is who I think you're talking about, calls her podcast with Mrs. G. So anyway, I'm glad we have these podcasts. And Akima further says, yes, listener, watch Mr. Davis for office hours. Get your questions answered. Yeah, Mr. Davis does do podcasts. And the thing I think about that's so nice is that, he has a regular job suing some people, but he still spends a lot of his extra time to talk to y'all, to help all of you, That's why it's important. That's why it's important. Mr. Davis has always gone live, Margaret. on every podcast. Well, sometimes he has recording podcasts. So all the podcasts are recorded, so you can look them up. He has hundreds and hundreds of podcasts like I do. And I go over the same things, podcast after podcast, but I try to do it in different fashion. I try to make it different so it's not so boring. So it's not so boring there. Yeah, Mr. Davis is live. There's no question about that. And this Saturday, earlier today, he was on at 10 o'clock today. My show was over at 9. He came on an hour later to talk about something called office. No, to talk about anything you wanted to. And he took calls. He talked to people. So that is important. That is important there. Yes, information, legal advice. Okay, we got a caller. Good evening, KK, and welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Bob. Hi, everybody in the room. I just wanted to, I know you only got a couple minutes left, Bob, and you look good today. You must have got some rest, so I'm proud
Thank
of
you.
that.
Thank you.
And just to let Miss Margaret know, because I don't know if the comments were posted, I didn't see them, let her know to get Mr. Davis's book off of Amazon and to join the school.
What's the name of the book you want her to get?
It's The Secret. It's a digital book. It's $9.99. And the school you can join right now, he's running a special for $29.99. It's SKOOL.
Okay. Okay, KK. I think the book you're talking about is The Parent Guide to Guardianship Step by Step.
Yes.
Yeah. Now
absolutely.
you can actually get that book for 50% off if you use my name, capital P, capital A, capital C, capital E, 50. It'll reduce from 99 to half off.
Right.
So that is an important book. Yes, I do talk about that all the time.
It is a great book. Just because I see Miss Margaret is asking, a lot of the questions that, we go over on a daily. So I figured maybe that book can answer a lot of them and give her some extra information. And if she joins the school, she'll get, the seminars and everything that he does weekly.
Okay.
That's just for everybody. If he's running a great price right now, usually membership is over $100 right now. It's like $30. So, hop on it, guys. It's really, really.
Yeah, Vincent has a lot of specials on. If you can't find the websites, there's always that number you can call in and ask for it. 888-888-6582. That's the law office of Vincent Davis. Now, Akima, Betty's been kind of quiet tonight. We have another girl, Athena, who's on the road driving. She's in Alaska, so she can't text while she drives.
Well, as you know, guys, Bob is on twice a day, but I have my show on Monday night, shifting from Wednesday night to Monday night, guys. Manic Monday with Miss K. You can always call in. I'll post my number up at that time, and to let you know, you can call with any of your crazy stories to start the week off, and we can just dive in and dissect it little by little for that segment. If you'd like to be a guest, you can email Grace, and she'll send you a link. Or if you'd like to just call in, the number will be posted the day of my podcast. It is the first stream, and it will be live on Facebook and on YouTube StreamYard on Monday.
Okay.
5 p.m. Pacific Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks, Bob.
You bet. Thank you for calling in, KK.
No problem. Have a good night, guys.
Yep. Anyway, that was KK from Brooklyn, New York, and she wanted to talk about her podcast on Monday. We got about 10 minutes left. It's right now, or we actually got about 7 minutes left. What is the time? We got 7 minutes left before 8 o'clock. And we have Jesse Universe. Welcome, Jesse. I think you've been here before. Doing great. It's a good book to read. That's the one that's called The Grandparent Guide Step by Step for Guardianship. I read my social worker advice me to read it, and I did. It's an amazing book. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad, Jesse. Could you tell us where you're from, Jesse? I forgot. I don't have everybody memorized. So far, we've had KK from Brooklyn, New York. She was on the phone talking. She's been in the room. We have Margaret from Missouri. We have Betty from Montana. And we have Athena from Alaska. And now we have Jesse. Jesse is from, oh boy. Okay, Margaret's talking about another book she has, How to Fight CPS by Mr. Davis. I've read that book too. That's a good book. That's excellent. He has a lot of books. You go to the website, the Sand Store, or you call in the 888-888-6582 and ask for any of the books you want to get. They're very reasonably priced. Okay, you're listening to the Statonic Wisdom of Seneca Help Me Tonight, my CPR case. Well, if you have a question for me, Jesse, and can tell me where you're from, it'd be great. Margaret says, I love books. Yes, books are really powerful tools. There's a lot of knowledge in books. There's a lot of knowledge in books there. Okay, we have about 5 minutes left. I can take another phone call, or you guys can ask me a question. I can try to answer it. I want to help you. Now, last I was talking to was the internet. It's very important that you phrase it right. You have the city, then the state, then the letter CPS, and then a lot of things will pop up. But if you want to refine those things, put in the question about CPS. What is a 388 motion? What is a 160 hearing? Anything like that is more specific. And lastly, is my number 5 rule, is you need to make copies of important documents and keep them in a folder, because you never know what they're going to ask. Your marriage license, your children's birth certificate, social security card, their grade reports, their shot records. You need all that information. Don't have to have the original. Just make copies, put it in an envelope, and have it with your notebook. It's very important. So those are my 5 rules. And it's very important you follow them, because if I did, I wouldn't have had my case. Now, I know Margaret says sometimes you don't get alerts. Sometimes it seems like over the last 16 months, there's been problems with YouTube, Facebook, and StreamYard all working together. And so far, lately, it seems to be working okay. If you miss alert, I don't know what happened there, because they have been alerting people, because I know they come in on it. Oh, good. Margaret was a member of the school. Vincent has a school you can join that you get notice and stuff. So it's important to join the school. She was a member for 3 months, but she wants to rejoin again. So please do. Being a member will entitle you to all kinds of help from Mr. Davis. All kinds of help from Mr. Davis. Now I'm about 2 minutes away. I need to wind down. I took off my phone number because I can't take another phone call. But please, you all, don't give up. Keep fighting for your kids. They're the most precious, loving thing you have. And I know all of you really love families, but you got to be careful. You got to follow my 5 rules. Have an attorney. Do your documents. Say no to CPS. Don't let them in your home and don't talk to them. Rule number 3. Rule 4 is research the internet. Spend 60, 80 hours. And rule 5 is get all your documents that are important there, like driver's license and birth certificates and social security cards, etc. So I'll be again on tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. That's 8 a.m. in the morning now. That's 2 hours earlier than normal am. So make sure you set your clocks. If you're on the West Coast, it's 8 o'clock. And then, Mountain Time, it's 9 o'clock. Central Time, it's 11 o'clock. And Eastern Time, it's 1 o'clock. So I want to thank you all for listening and helping one another. This is a positive room. God bless you all. And this is Bob Pace thanking Margaret from Missouri, Akima from Brooklyn, New York, Athena from Alaska, and Jesse. I still don't know where you're from, Jesse. Did you tell me? Oh, boy. I don't see Jesse. Well, that's all right. Thank you, Jesse. And thank you all. God bless you all. And this is Bob Pace signing off.